Right, welcome to this Codex review for Imperial Knights. It's one that I've been meaning to do for a long time. Exciting times really, because I'm hoping to get an Imperial Knight to include it in one of my armies. It's a force or a unit that you can add to one of your armies as a really cool ally. So it's an exciting one here. It's quite a short Codex, but a fascinating one. So we're going to take a look at the Codex here. We're going to review it, go through the different units and options that you can take, and just sort of get an idea of what I'm planning to do with Imperial Knights. So it should be interesting to see what happens. I think I may try and incorporate Imperial Knights perhaps into my Skitari army somehow, and then use it as an ally perhaps for Imperial Fists as well. There's great potential here, exciting, one of the most beautiful miniatures in my opinion that Games Workshop ever produced. Truly epic in scale, and I've been thinking about how I can try and incorporate that into the force, but one of the forces that I have, so we'll take a look at the Codex here. So I've got my Codex from gamingfigures.com. They do Games Workshop stuff at 15% off. If your order comes to over £100, then they give you an extra 5% off on top of that. For the UK, I think there's free postage as well, if your order's big enough. They ship all over the world, but it just means you can get your Games Workshop stuff at a discounted rate. You don't have to pay full price, which is handy enough advantage to have. So incredible artwork is the thing I noticed about the Codex here for Imperial Knights. Very, very nice indeed. Some beautiful colour schemes. Really struggling which one to choose here, because they're quite striking. You can invent your own if you wish. There's some superb artwork here, taking on the Tau. So Games Workshop gone in the direction that Flyers was a blitz that came out. They tried to do Flyers for all of the different armies. I thought that was a brilliant move. And now it seems that every army, or most armies at least, they're going to get some kind of big unit, some kind of big thing that they can have in their force. And that's going to add, or has added, a very interesting dimension to games of 40k as well. You know, you've got your regular units, you've got your tanks, your infantry, and then some armies now are taking these huge things. It's just another level up that you have to try and take on. I think it's great. Some of the most enjoyable games that we've had have been sort of regular 50-point games, and then either side's got some kind of big, super heavy tank or walker or of some kind, and it's made it a very interesting matchup. So I've got no problem at all having those in the force. Maybe you turn up one day and your army, you haven't got a super heavy of any kind, your opponent has. I just love the challenge of trying to take it down, so it's no problem at all. Can make for a very enjoyable game. So Imperial Knights is a fix there for armies like Space Marines, Imperial Guard and so on. Orcs obviously got their own larger stomper. They can use the Tau now, have their own Storm Surge, the Wraith Knight for the Eldar. So each army, I hope they'll do it for every army. We'll get some kind of Lord of War, some big thing that they can use. So nice artwork that's been done. As I said, it's quite a short Codex compared to others. There's still plenty of content to it. Again, taking on the Tau here. Nice colour scheme, this one. I do like that look. And look here, they're mixing with Skitari, so the red scheme matching in with the scheme that I'm doing for them. I think that would tie in quite nice. You'd have this big machine to go with them. I think that would be a nice matchup. Might be able to drop out a few infantry units, take an Imperial Knight instead. I think that would work very, very well indeed. Just the background story of them here. The structure of them, they work together in units or they can go on their own. Background story. And then these terms here, Knights, Warden, Knights, Errant and so on, Paladins, I remember those terms being used when I was interested in collecting Epic and Titan Legions, and they had these figures. They're about this big, sort of 1.5 inches in size. I never thought you'd see them outside of that gaming scale, but now Games Workshop brought in the big stuff into 40k. I hope they bring Epic back. I mean, they could redo it and it'd be a fantastic game to play. I think it'd be a really good idea. Knights Gallant, Knights Paladin, Knights Crusader, just different configurations for them. Then onto the colour schemes. Really, I've been thinking about which ones to use. There's two that I like the look of. It's this colour scheme here I really do like, especially when you see them painted up, and also that red colour scheme as well. But plenty of inspiration inside the Codex. for your own colour schemes. I mean, because you really would need, I think going to need help with choosing colours because of the vastness of the model. You know, it's not just painted blue, there's other colours and patterns to consider and so on. So the artwork here really, really does help. This one's particularly nice. The fist, that looks really good. So plenty of options. These are handy painting references for sure, but definitely the painted miniatures really helps to get an idea of what they look like. Going through, not too keen on that one. That one looks pretty good. Another different one there, House Morton. Yeah, then onto this sort of colour scheme I'm thinking of to match in with the Skitarii, this kind of thing here. Yeah, looking very, very nice indeed. Come through, this guy looks good with sort of dog face. Helmet looks good here. Yeah, I reckon something like that. Still not totally sure, maybe I might have to get two. I can't decide. Patterns on this one, plenty of reference for the in the codex here, very, very helpful indeed. This more dirtied look, which looks good. And then you have the free blades. These are ones that can be hired out, so you can justify inserting them into other armies as sort of Imperial Knights that fight on their own. So nice flexibility here with the background story for these, which is helpful. Interesting colour scheme, that one. Imagine that would look quite nice painted up. That one's good. Yeah, there's bound to be one here that you can find that you'd like. But yeah, that's the scheme that I like. Just the way they've done the blue here and the gold. Beautiful. Incredible looking miniatures. Incredible work that Games Workshop have done. Mightily impressed by them. Yeah, good artwork here. I mean, James's go well with James's Ultramarines, these ones. Even the blue would be a nice mix up with the Imperial Fists as well. I think it would still look nice. So that's this colour scheme. Ben's already got one of these and fighting these Grey Knights. He's used it. Yeah, that one. That one and that one. I can't decide between the two. Very difficult to call. I would prefer that, but I can imagine that fitting him as Skitarii very nicely indeed. Very, very nice. Yeah, it's nice colour schemes here. So as I said, we're still flicking through artwork here. Loads of stuff. So then onto the army structure here, the household detachment and choosing an army. Right, so you can do a household detachment. You can do an entire army of Imperial Knights. I've not played against anyone yet that has that, but I've seen a few battle reports around where people have done it. It looks fun enough. Quite straightforward for your movement and shooting, and a tough task for your opponent. So a household detachment, you have to take 3 Lords of War, and then you can expand to take 2 extras on top of that if you wish, but the minimum requirement is 3 Lords of War. If you do that, you get these command benefits. If this detachment is your primary detachment, so you could take 3 of them, then take a small allied force, maybe Skitarii or Space Marines or whatever. If it's your primary detachment, you can reroll result when rolling on the Warlord traits table in this codex. Furthermore, when fighting in a challenge of Warlord, rerolls failed to hit rolls, so handy enough. Then Lord Baron, if this detachment is your primary detachment, your Warlord has the vehicle super heavy walker character unit type and can choose to select one item from the Heirlooms of the Knightly Houses list, page 101, at the points cost shown. So it gives them access to the Heirlooms of Knightly Houses. Furthermore, add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill of your Warlord. It's a very, very helpful trait to have. Ballistic skill 4, ballistic skill 5 is really good. It's very, very good indeed. It's very helpful. And then ballistic skill 5, that's going to help you hit on freeze against a lot of targets. Also objectives good. All units in this detachment have objectives secured as well. The unit with this special rule controls objectives even if an enemy scoring unit is within range, unless the enemy unit also has this special rule. So that's worth doing. It's worth taking 3 of them, and then you can take other allies, but you're going to gain access there to a fair amount of benefits, and they're pretty good. They are pretty good. An Oath Sworn detachment. This is smaller. So you can take one Lord of War and then up to 2 more. If you do that, this detachment cannot be taken as your primary detachment. All units in this detachment must have the Imperial Knights faction. Right, so that's allies. The way that works. Okay. And then there's no benefits. Alright, so it's a good benefit if you're actually going to run an Imperial Knight force. So, onto Imperial Knight wargear list. We'll come back to those as and when it comes up here in the list entries here. So the first one, they seem pretty affordable. They're comparable to other Lords of War. Pretty good, 370 points here. This is a Knight Errant. So this is this configuration here. This is the one I'm thinking of going for with these 2 weapons here. So I suppose you'd take your Imperial Knight depending on what role you want it to play. Really the weaponry is going to decide how that's going to turn out. So Knight Errant here, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 10 as standard. Front 13, so for a walker it's really good. Side 12, and then rear armor 12 as well, which is helpful. You know, if you're going to get caught in ambush, and that's the tactic, you know your opponent is probably going to try and do that. Try and get in round behind. If I was Elder and playing against these, would try and do that. Well, your rear armor is 12. That's going to help protect you a lot. Rear armor 12 is excellent. Initiative 4, 3 attacks as basic, and then 6 hull points to try and get through on top of that. So it's a tough unit to take on. It's a vehicle, and then super heavy walker as well. So super heavy walker, I'm just checking out the rules here. Your movement is 12 inches. They follow all the normal rules for walkers, except they can move 12 inches in the movement phase, and they cannot fire Overwatch, so bear that in mind. Then they have Stomp here. I won't go through all the rules for it here, it's in the 40k rulebook. But in combat, you know, they get their regular attacks, and then they also have Fear, Hammer of Wrath, Invincible Behemoth, Move Through Cover, Relentless, Smash, and Strike Down. So deadly in close combat here. The Stomp table, it's D3 stomps you get, and you roll each time here, and it tells you what each blast does here. I can imagine, well, I've used Stomp before, but I've had it done to me by Ben. I had a Necron, my Necron Death Star unit charged into Imperial Knight. He rolled a 6 and he just took it off the table. So there's real potential there to do a nasty amount of damage with the Stomp special rule. Just looking at the rules here, you get D3 stomps, just like in the diagram. If you get 3 stomps, you can place them. The first one has to be touching the walker. The other, any others after that can be placed within 3 inches, like that. So you could stomp forward into the opponent and onto other units as well. And you don't roll per blast, you roll for each unit that's touched by the one of the blast markers there, and then it gives you the results. So it's just 1 roll per unit, regardless of how many actual blasts you get. But deadly enough, you know, if you roll a 6, it's destroyed. And then 2 to 5, the most common result, it's going to take strength 6 AP 4 hits there as well. And that's on top of your regular attacks and Hammer of Wrath. So in combat, there's great potential for these things. Strength 10 to start off with. So these things will be the bane of most vehicles and walkers, and quite happily smash into infantry of any type as well. So interesting stuff. Could see them perhaps getting tied down by infantry if you send in a fearless unit perhaps, and you know you're rolling badly on your stomp table, then you can try and bog it down, but definitely a difficult target to try and take on. So heavy stubber here. That's just there. We'll leave that one as just a supporting weapon. So thermal cannon is the one we're interested in here. That's this one here. We'll see how effective that one is. So thermal cannon, it's range 36. Not the longest of ranges, but range 36 is decent enough. You know, moving it up into the table, you're still going to reach the back line. Because of the nature of this thing, it's a walker and it's geared for close combat. Then you're going to be quite happy to advance forwards anyway. You know, well protected, decent in combat. It's not going to be something you necessarily have to keep at the back line anyway. So range 36, I can't see being a problem. Strength 9, it's AP 1, heavy 1, large blast, and then melter as well. So this is one you're going to need to get closer with if it's melter. Half range, you're going to get to within 18 inches. And then you're going to get the 2d6 armor penetration. So this is a close ranged weapon, really, relatively close. But even range 36 strength on AP1, which should do damage to vehicles. Light vehicles will be in deep trouble. And then any type of infantry is going to get blown away as well. So nasty weapon. I think this may be the one that I go for. I think so. Then the Reaper Chainsword. So this is melee. Remember, it's strength 10 anyway, but this makes your melee attack strength D, AP2, and then melee. So, yeah, I think it's a decent combination here. You're looking to advance to get close to firing the weapon, and you're looking to advance to engage with the Reaper Chainsword. So that combination, I think, should work pretty good. If it's something you don't mind if it dies, you want to chuck it in and cause a load of trouble. Because it will be a fire magnet, your opponent's going to realise he has to deal with it, then I think that combination there is pretty good. So I think that might be the way I'm going. So that's a Knight Errant. You may take one of the following Carapace weapons. An Iron Storm missile pod. So we are at, by the way, you can, there's a number of options here. You may replace a Reaper Chainsword with a Thunderstrike Gauntlet. It's 10 points to pay. Thunderstrike Gauntlet. We'll take a look at this, see if it justifies the extra 10 points. Strength DAP2, melee, colossal, and hurl. So it's just some extra rules for it. Model fighting this weapon piles in and fights initiative step 1. So, alright, so you're losing. Yeah, you're losing advantage there. Okay. If an Imperial Knight fighting with Thunderstrike Gauntlet destroys an enemy monstrous creature or vehicle in the fight surface, it can choose to hurl it. Gargantuan creatures, super vehicles cannot be hurled. If the vehicle is destroyed as a result of suffering and explodes, result in the vehicle damage table. Resolve any damage before hurling it. Any passengers must take emergency disembarkation before the transport is held. To hurl an enemy model, immediately resolve a shooting attack against an enemy unit within 12 that is not locked in combat using the profile below. A hurled model is removed from the battlefield after the attack has been resolved. Okay, so it's range 12, heavy 1, large blast, and the bigger they are. So you're hurling the wreck of the dead monstrous creatures, chucking a Carnifex across the table. The strength of this attack is always equal to the toughness value of the monstrous creature. So if Carnifex is toughness 6, the strength will be toughness 6, or half the front armor value of the vehicle being held. Okay, so you could pull that off. There's no AP value to it, so you might kill a couple of Space Marines. I think I would keep the Chainsword. I think it's straightforward, it's strength D, it's AP2, and you'll keep your initiative. With this one, you lose your initiative, and that's quite a price to pay. And the hurl special rule, I wouldn't say that's particularly amazing. So yeah, I reckon I would just keep the Reaper Chainsword. So at 370 unchanged. You can replace the heavy stubble with a melter gun. Again, you could do, but I don't see it's absolutely necessary. Don't be too worried about that. But you can do if you wish. It's only 5 points to do that. You may take one of the following Carapace weapons. Right, an Iron Storm missile pod. It's 30 points to take it. You're going to be able to fire more than one weapon system a turn with the Walker anyway, super heavy Walker, so you can fire this one on top of what you already have. Iron Storm missile pod. So range 72, nice range on this thing, extremely good range. Strength 5 AP4, so it's an infantry killer here. Heavy 1, large blast, and then barrage. So, yeah, I can imagine that causing trouble for taking on targets at range. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I'm just checking the rules there for super heavy walkers. You can fire all of your weapons and you can fire them at different targets. So, you know, a vastly different weapon system here. It's just for taking on medium light infantry at a long range, but you can fire this off at a different target whilst you're firing another weapon somewhere else. So, for fire support, if that's maybe what's lacking in your army, because it's going to be mounted on this thing, so that weapon system should survive pretty good. I've played games against these and hardly ever destroyed. Very difficult thing to get rid of. So that weapon system that you pay for should last pretty good, which means you're going to get a nice lot of fighting, excellent range. So, you know, if there's an area in your army you think, yeah, I'm lacking a bit of, you know, large blast, anti-infantry type stuff, lacking a bit of range, then that thing's pretty good. 30 points isn't bad for a decent enough weapon system. Right, then you can go for a twin Icarus autocannon. Here. Range 48 again, nice long range, strength 7, AP 4, heavy 2, interceptor, skyfire and twin linked. Quite a low amount of shots, just 2. You know, you're paying 35 points for 2 shots a turn, but there's interceptor and skyfire, so flyers coming in, but again, if that's perhaps what you're lacking, then go for that. Strength 7. You know, it's not the best strength for flyers, but strength 7 should do damage to most. And interceptor's quite handy. The moment a flyer comes on, you can let that off. And again, different targets, you know, it's no problem at all. So yeah, another option there. 35 for that. A Storm Spear rocket pod. Okay. Range 48, strength 8, AP 3, heavy 3. Pretty good, that. That is pretty good. That's a pretty good weapon. 3 shots, especially if you're army commander perhaps and you're ballistic skill 5. 3 shots coming in. AP 3 is good, say monstrous creature killer here. Medium, light vehicle killer. Again, pretty good if you've got points to spend. 40 points for that one. Yeah, okay, pretty good. So those are the options you can take for that one. I'm not sure, depends on how my points work out. I may just keep him as he is. I think he can do enough damage. Just as he is there, but just depends on you, who you're fighting against, and what maybe perhaps is lacking in your own force, if they're allies. Right, next one's the Knight Paladin. It's an extra 5 points here. So this one's cheaper. Knight Paladin 375. Just checking the stats are the same. Right, okay. Basically, an extra 5 points for the extra stubber, I reckon is the reason. 1 here, 1 here. 2 heavy stubbers. Right, next one's the rapid fire battle cannon. I sort of like the idea of this one, but this is the next option I'm thinking of going for. Range 72, so there's your range. This one is it's therefore one that you could definitely hold back and get behind cover and just let out some supporting fire. 2 shots, then it's strength 8, AP 3, but it's ordnance 2, so you're going to get these 2 shots at large blast, AP 3, so it's Space Marines, big trouble. You've got the instant death side of things there as well, strength 8. And then ordnance as well against vehicles. So strength 8, you know, not the best tank busting strength, but ordnance is going to get that extra, you know, roll 2d6, choose the best. Very, very helpful. And then 2 shots, you can really pummel a vehicle there and try and bust through the armour. Nice looking as well, I just love the look of that as well. James hopes to get an Imperial Knights. You may well see them starting to appear on the channel. Reaper Chainsaw, we've seen that already. I'm sort of wondering, you know, if you're going to decide to hold back and then you're going to negate your brilliant close combat potential. This one's sort of combining deadly firepower and close combat, you know, close range. But one thing we haven't covered yet is the Iron Shield. I'm just checking here. The options here are all the same. So we'll check out the Iron Shield now. I think it's quite a crucial part of the war gear here for the Imperial Knights. So Iron Shield is here. When Imperial Knight is deployed, and subsequently at the start of each of the opposing side's shooting phases, before any attacks are carried out. So this is one that you be careful, you know, if someone's strict on the rules with you, you've got to remember to do this. The controlling player must declare which facing each Imperial Knight's Iron Shield is covering. So the choices are front, left side, right side, or rear. That's it. Oh, wow. And the point that this is done is the start of your shooting. So your opponent scoots around behind He's going to ambush you. Before he starts any of your attacks, you then declare where your shield's got to go up. So I say it's pretty hard to ambush this thing. Incredible. The knight has a 4+ invulnerable save, not a cover save. It's invulnerable saves against all hits on that facing until the start of your opponent's next shooting phase. Iron shields are repositioned before any attacks are carried out in the shooting phase. Iron shields cannot be used to make saving throws against close combat attacks. Fair enough. So half of whatever comes at you, you're going to ignore. That's why these things are so hard to kill. You've got to get past the inbun shield, save of the shield. You've got to get past the armor 13, and then you've got the depth of the hull points to get past. So these things are so hard to kill. So very, very good. And really it's between those two I might go for. Right, other options here. They've re-released the Codex to include this new, the extras they've added, the new weapons, heads, and extra armaments on top that you can add here. So this is the new stuff coming in. So a Knight Warden is next. It's all the same. 375 for this guy. And we've got some new weapons here. So Avenger Gatling Cannon. Avenger Gatling Cannon. Range 36. Again, decent enough range. Should be in range of most stuff. Strength 6 AP 3. Heavy 12. And then rending on top of that. So this is a Space Marine killer here. And then we're rending potentially onto Terminators and so on as well. Carnifex killer as well. Strength 6 AP 3. Should be able to hose stuff down. So if you're ballistic skill 4, on average you're going to hit 8 times. And rend, you'll rend once or twice. This is just average. 8 hits, tactical squad. You should kill 6 Space Marines, but then if they're in cover 4+, you might kill 3. 4 Space Marines if they're in cover. Is that decent enough? Now you can't at range take on heavy vehicles, armor 13, 14, now you're in trouble. So I think this would work better perhaps on a commander if he's weapon skill 5 or ballistic skill 5, then you're going to hit with 10 hits most of the time, rending. So light vehicles work should mash through pretty good. So yeah, it's not bad, that one. I'll still rate the others higher. A heavy flamer. Okay, interesting. And then a heavy stubber as well. And then the Reaper Chainsaw, we've seen that. And the Iron Shield. So that's that combination. And then I think it's the same setup as well with your options there. So again, with allies, sometimes you take allies to compensate for a weakness in your army. So your army's got excellent long range firepower, but you need a bit of close combat protection. Then take one of these guys as an ally, and that solves that part of the army that's missing. Like James's Imperial Guard, he's got the long range guns, but you might want something big and tough to set an objective that's got combat potential. So you can take an Imperial Knight and not worry too much about long range firepower, but instead give it the real sort of close combat capability. And that's its role. So these build it according to the role that's needed, I think, is the rule to follow. Next one's the Knight Gallant. 325 points. It's cheaper. It's 50 points cheaper than the Warden. All the same here, I believe. Heavy stubber, Reaper Chainsaw, and Thunderstrike Gauntlet. So everything else all the same. Now, let's just check here. Thunderstrike Gauntlet is a melee weapon, yeah, and the Reaper. So it's going to grant you an extra attack, actually, as well. So your attack characteristic is going to go up to 4. So if you really want to go for something that's going to get stuck in, then you can go for the Knight Gallant, and you can still equip it for shooting. With this extra Carapace weapon that you can take. Then it can still have some shooting potential there, as well as the stubber can be changed from to go on top of that as well, so you can provide some fire support still, even if you kit it out for a real melee The other handy thing, if you're really going to go for combat with these, you know, that dreaded weapon destroyed result. Actually, I don't think weapon destroyed applies. Just gonna check the rules here. Yeah, just check the rules here. That dreaded weapons destroyed result, you know, it's not going to apply. The superior vehicle is so large and there's so many crew that the effects of crew shaken, crew stunned, immobilised, weapon destroyed results are ignored. It's all converted into hull points, which makes them even harder to kill. You can't even stop them, you have to destroy them. So, you know, these are tough. Your opponent's going to really struggle against Imperial Knights. Extremely difficult things to take on. Your beautiful miniature, towering thing. You know, it can be a pride and joy that you have in your army. You know, you spend time painting it, make it look really nice, and it is very good as well. So we're going to the last one here, the Knight Crusader. And again, we've gone from melee here and now gone on to sort of shooting end of the spectrum. 425 points, significantly more. You've got the Avenger Cannon, Heavy Flamer, Heavy Stubber, Thermal Cannon, Iron Shield. This is your gun platform here to provide fire support, no doubt about it. So again, if fire support is what you're lacking, you know, you've got a very close combat style army or short range type weapons, then this thing can plug a gap and provide that for you. And it's an excellent way of deflecting attention away from your army. You try to get your army in position or get up close. If you don't want them to get shot at, take an Imperial Knight. There'll be a fire maker that your opponent can waste or spend a lot of time trying to deal with that whilst the rest of your army moves into position. So, very interesting indeed. Yeah, they're deadly. It's about time I had one, I think. It's not fair that I've had to fight against them for so long. So on to formations next. So the Exalted Court. It's formation 5 Imperial Knights. That's a lot of models. You know, we're really dedicated to have 5 of them. So you're going to get Council of Lords. All models in this formation have the vehicle Super Heavy Orca character unit type. Right. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering why they're mentioning that. These are just walkers. You're going to gain characters. This means that you can fight in challenges, I believe. You know, you go into something in combat, they've got a deadly sergeant equipped with something that can damage you, power fist, or, you know, potentially you can issue challenges, which makes them deadly. Unit type. And they can each choose to select from the heirlooms of the knightly houses. So you're opening yourself up to all these extra upgrades. We'll take a look at those at the points cost shown. We'll come back to that in a second. Furthermore, before deployment, nominate one model in this formation to be the High King or Princeps of the knightly house. Add 2 to his weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics, and add 1 to any invulnerable saving throw this model makes for his iron shield. Add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics of all the others. That's crazy. It's all about one of the best upgrades. That's madness. Incredible. So you take an army, you say, right, I'm going to do Imperial Knight army, you get 5 of them, you pay out for them. Amazing bonuses. They're all ballistic skill 5 for all of them, weapon skill 5, and the leader gets +2. All become characters. The leader gets +1 in his invuln save. Madness. It's incredible. Knight Commander. You can reroll result and Warlord traits. Furthermore, in Challenger, Warlord can reroll failed to hit rolls. What a tough army to come up against. I'm just wondering if any of my armies could cope with that. I don't know. It'd be fascinating to hear from you if you're an Imperial Knights player and you have an Imperial Knight only army. Leave it in the comments. Let us know how well you get on, how effective they are, how well they do against certain armies. Perhaps they have a weakness. You probably might not want to share that on YouTube. But if they have a weakness, then leave that in the comments section as well. I'm sure people will be fascinated to hear how well this kind of army fights against. If you've had experience against them as well, let us know how you coped, maybe you were wiped out by them, or you put up a good fight, or indeed you beat them somehow, then leave that in the comment section as well. They must have an Achilles heel of some kind. But just coming along here, yeah, household detachment, 3 of them up to 5. Then Knight Commander, you're going to get this access to Heirlooms, the knightly houses. We'll take a look at that. We'll do that at the end, I think. So that's that one. That's a superb formation. Is there anything else that's smaller? And yeah, the answer is yes. A Baronial Court is the next one. Right, so on Baronial Court, 3 to 5 Imperial Knights. A lot of bonuses here. Ionic Shieldborn. As long as your Imperial Knight from this formation is within 6 of 1 or more other Imperial Knights, they all stick together. You have +1 to any advanced saving throws. And it's Iron Shield on the front arc, so if you're facing forwards, marching line ahead, it's a 3+ advanced save. Ahead only, but utterly incredible. And what can stop that? Knight Commander. You can reroll Warlord traits, and your Warlord rerolls failed hit rolls in a challenge. Knightly Vassals. The formation is Baron, and all Imperial Knights, the formation within 12 of him, have the counter attack and can fire Overwatch, even though they're super heavy walkers. So this is a formation you're going to be advancing at your opponent. You're a tide, or a wall of machine marching forwards, absorbing all the hits coming in, and then getting nice and close. Here, Lord Baron. Before deployment, nominate 1 model from this formation to be the formation's Baron. This model has the vehicle super heavy walker character. Yeah. So again, you can do challenges, unit type, and can choose to select the heirlooms of the knightly list and points shown. Okay. Furthermore, add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill again. So again, Baronial Court is good. You're just going to get 3 of them. Some very nice upgrades for them there. A Tripartite Lance. Which is quite a fixed one, this one. So 1 Knight Warden, 1 Knight Gallant, 1 Knight Crusader. So you have to take 1 Knight Warden in that configuration, 1 Knight Gallant in that configuration, and 1 Knight Crusader. So a mixed bunch. You have to field them as a single unit, although this is not normally allowed. When each knight is destroyed, they count as a separate unit for victory points purposes. Okay. A War Triad. Each knight in this formation has an effect on the other models in this formation as described below. These effects last until the associated model is complete. So they all, each one benefits the others in a certain way. And when certain one dies, they all lose that trait. So the Knight Warden, he grants Withering Fire. Enemy units count their cover save as being 1 point lower against shooting tanks models in this formation. Cool. Knight Gallant, Wrath for Onslaught. All models in this formation inflict D3 hammer of Wrath hits instead of 1. Good. Knightly Crusader, Precision Bombardment. Blast weapons fired by models in this formation gain the Twin Link special. Right, so some pretty good benefits again. Remember, they're all free of charge, not paying points for these. So again, pretty good. Alright, another one here. Yeah, this is interesting. A Gallant Lance. 3 Knights Gallant. So it's the ones with the Reaper Chainsword and then the other close combat weapon. There's no restrictions. They gain Crusader and Rage. So this is, you want a close combat tide, a wall that's going to advance up and smash everything. You're going to get help here. You're going to get Rage. And then full tilt, Knights from this formation can reroll failed charge distances. So adding a bit of reliability in there. So, if you're going to go heavy on one style, here's close combat, you're going to get a few bonuses for it, and I'm guessing they're going to give you some bonuses if you go in the other direction. A Sky Reaper Lance. 3 Imperial Knights of any type. All units must take Icarus Auto cannon Carapace weapon option. Right, so there's a bit of anti-aircraft here. Skyreapers. When targeting enemy flyers, knights in this formation reroll failed armor penetration rolls, can choose to reroll glancing hits in the attempt to instead gain a penetrating hit, but the second roll result must be kept. Furthermore, when targeting enemy flying monstrous creatures, knights for this formation reroll failed to wound rolls. So it's nice reliable anti-aircraft fire for them. It's a handy way of carrying an anti-aircraft mount. I have to say it's pretty good. You know, you can just sit there, it's well protected, which means, you know, you're going to be able to fire it every turn, because the Imperial Knight stays alive, the weapon, it can't be destroyed, the weapon cannot be destroyed, they have to kill the whole vehicle. So I think for carrying anti-aircraft, I think it's a pretty effective way of doing it. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. So that's it. I'm just going to move on to the heirlooms here, the extra heraldry you can take. Appendix is next, so you've got Warlord traits here. So you roll your d6, land Strider is the first one. Your Warden, all friendly Imperial Knights within 12, add 1 to the result rolling on the distance they run or their charge distances. Okay, pretty, it's not that amazing. It's okay. Next one, favoured of the Omnisia. Nominate one weapon carried by your Warlord. That weapon has master crafted. Note, however, this can't be applied to an heirloom of the knightly houses. Right, mastercraft, reroll 1 dice, I think. We'll just check out mastercrafted. I think it's reroll 1 dice. So that's not too amazing. Yeah, just looking it up here. You can reroll 1 failed to hit per turn. Pretty insignificant there for that one. Next one, Exemplar of the Joust. Your Warlord rerolls failed to hit rolls in any assault phase in which he successfully charges into combat. Okay, that's pretty good, not bad. Cunning Commander. Your Warlord and up to D3 other friendly Imperial units have outflanked. Ah, that's utterly horrendous. To have D3 knights outflanking will cause headaches for any opponent, so that's pretty good. Iron Bulwark. Your Warlord can reroll any failed invulnerable saving throws of a 1. Not bad, not bad. That's not bad. And then a Knight Seneschal. Add 1 to your Warlord's attacks. Not bad. Okay, so there's perhaps 3 that are okay-ish, 2 that are not bad, and then 1 of them is utterly deadly, especially if you've got more than 1 Imperial Knight. Weapons then we've covered, we've been through all of these, we've covered the Iron Shield as well. So heirlooms of the knightly houses, and then we'll just link that back to here to get our points cost. These little things you can add, but you have to add them to, if you go for, yeah, not everyone gets these. This is only if you take a larger force. So, you know, adding 1 Imperial Knight as allies, you're not going to get much. In fact, look, if I go for this one here, 1 Imperial Knight to go Muscatari, it's going to be an oversworn detachment. That's it. There's no benefits at all. They just come as they are. You're only going to get it if you go for a household detachment, or some of those formations that we looked at as well. So, okay, but here it is. The Banner of Macarius Triumphant. All friendly units of the armies of the Imperial faction within 12 must reroll failed morale, pinning checks, and fear tests. That's pretty good. You know, if you stick them in the heart of your Imperial Guard army, you can reroll stuff. And that will cost 10 points. Not too bad. Not too bad at all, really. No complaints about that one. Right, next one is the Helm of the Nameless Warrior. A model wearing the Helm of the Nameless Warrior has Rampage. That's not bad. If you're outnumbered, which usually will be the case, you get as D3 attacks every turn. I reckon so. So Rampage is pretty mean. Again, I'm just going to clarify it here in the rules. It's worth checking. I think you get at the start of every fight subphase. Yeah, just checked it there. It's the start of any fight subphase. D3 extra attacks if you're outnumbered. That's excellent. That is very, very good indeed. You know, because you're worried about your low attacks characteristic. 3 attacks is okay, but you know, you could have a few poor rounds and do no damage. You roll bad on your stomp, and all of a sudden, you know, you bog down. Rampage is just a helpful one to have. It's excellent. Oh, but it's 30 points. God, yeah, 30 points is a fair old amount. Yeah, it's difficult. That one, 30 points is a fair amount to take that. It would make him a lot better, but you would have to pay the points for it quite heavily. Mark of the Omniscia. The bearer of the Mark of the Omniscia has the it will not die special rule. It's handy for regaining hull points. Yes, it's okay. 30 points for that one. Yeah, on average, perhaps in the game, you're going to regain 1 or 2 hull points. Probably 1 or 2 hull points, and you trade that off and you think to yourself, is that worth it for 30 points? Paragon Gauntlet, strength DAP2, melee, colossal, hurl, mastercrafted. It's basically a mastercrafted, the weapon that we saw earlier on. The Thunderstrike Gauntlet. You just make basically it's exactly the same. I'm getting the impression here. All it is mastercrafted. So we're paying for his mastercrafted. And that will cost you 15 points to do that. Probably wouldn't bother. Next one's the Ravager. Strength D, AP1, melee, Honour the Fallen. So I think it's a chain blade, yeah, it's a Reaper chainsword. The bearer of the Ravager rerolls failed to hit rolls of 1 in close combat. So against making that a bit better if you wish. And that's 25 points. You could go for that again, but you've got to pay for it, it's expensive enough. Next one's Sanctuary. It counts as an Iron Shield. In addition, equipped with a knight equipped with a Sanctuary has 6+ advanced save against each face, and it's not covered by its Iron Shield, so it's all round protection. Sanctuary cannot be used to making saving throws against close combat. Okay, so you get your usual, whichever side you're facing, usual 4+ invuln, and then 6+ everywhere else, which is alright. 15 points. That's not bad. It's not too bad. Yeah, because remember, invuln save, you're taking that before it goes through to your armour and stuff, so you got, you know, every shot coming in. Every single shot coming in. Roll a dice, get a 6, negate it. Not bad. It's only 15 points, so, you know, 6+ doesn't sound too amazing, but for 15 points, it's not bad. So, that's the review of the Codex there. Imperial Knights are fascinating. I'm fascinated by them. I haven't got the kit yet. I haven't seen it for myself. I've seen a few people that have bought them and painted them up. Ben has one, as I said, but I really would like to get 1, maybe 2, but definitely 1. I reckon if I could bind it with Skitarii, I think it'd be pretty cool. And I can use it as allies, and then you know, use it in a number of things, especially for Apocalypse games. Have some Imperial Knights moving around the table. Plus, you know, like super heavy tanks that James has his Titan. Suddenly got some massive machines that we can use. So fascinating stuff. An expensive enough kit to buy. You know, there's that side of it. So, you know, buy it's one of those things you buy one of, and then you know, it's something that you can really focus on, paint really nicely, and have it sitting there, and you can really enjoy using it. So it's a, you know, big vehicle, quite straightforward with the rules. So I think it'd be a nice addition for any army. So I said, I've got mine from gamingfigures.com, this Codex here, and handy if you're going to buy one of these things, you know, you're going to get 15% off straight away. If your order comes to over £100, you order a few extra bits, then another 5% off on top of that, and then they offer free postage in the UK as well. So by all means, check out them for discount 40k. But that's the Imperial Knights Codex. Leave your feedback. Especially what experience you've had playing against these, any weaknesses you think they have, and then also if you play Imperial Knights, is it enjoyable to have just a couple of units on the table, and then any tactica and formations and so on, leave that in the feedback as well. I'm sure I'll be interested to see it, and also others reading the comments as well. But there it is, Imperial Knights. Keep a lookout for them. One has already appeared on the channel. Ben has one. James and I also plan to use them as well. So that's the review for Imperial Knights. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.